To the East Blanc Township Public Meeting. So now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Okay, welcome all to the Thursday, September 19th, 2024, East Lampeter Township Emergency Services Committee, our regular meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum present here now, including myself. Dana Omerad is here. Township citizen Stephanie Johnson is here. Paul Fisher, John Petersheim, Jason Byler not here, so representing Lafayette will be Dave Keens. Nate Church from Bronx, Melanie McHenry's here on virtually, and Mike Kramer's here, and Chad Englerth. All right, we miss anyone? Good. Let's begin the meeting with pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty.
I'll make sure that Melanie can hear.
Surely. Melanie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and we can hear you. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the approval of minutes of the July 18th, 2024 regular meeting. Those minutes went around. Take a motion to accept those.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the July meeting.
Second.
And a second, we have motion and a second. Any discussion on those minutes? Any corrections, any comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed or abstained? The motion carries. All right, number 4 in our agenda, old business. So we'll start with our reports from our fire apparatus replacement committees, first hand in hand.
Okay, I really have no real update other than our 1-year anniversary passed that we ordered it. So we're 1 year closer, but nothing else has really changed. We're probably still 2 to 3 years out. So yeah, nothing else to report.
Okay, very good. Next up, Lafayette.
Nothing new there except for that they signed off on the color,
Yeah.
the correct color. The next meeting will probably be in February or March of 25.
The next year, first quarter. And Rox.
Committee established, they have not met.
Very good. Okay. B under old business, subcommittee reports. We can start with public information. Representative.
So we submitted our, I think it's the 3rd quarter report of our article to the township. Hopefully they got that. And it's a 2-pager again. About, again, some of it's kind of interactive for the kids, more on the fire prevention line. And then there's an appeal for funding since we get close to the year end by the time it comes out. Our next meeting will be on October the 9th at Bird and Hand. So if anybody wants to attend that, they're welcome to come out. We'll be talking about a couple of different articles again, starting for next year. So
Okay. Good.
it's, as always, open to suggestions, feedback,
Ideas.
good or bad. Yep. So
A bright spot for us, that information, quality publication. Okay, next up, under old business V will be our finance committee.
We have a number of people who work on that finance committee here tonight, so
they only wanting to or willing to contribute. But I did circulate information that the committee had discussed regarding, mainly focused on the fire apparatus replacement plan and the changes associated with that plan. The changes that I would mention would be that the cycle of replacement would go from 20 years to 25 years for each piece. 2 pieces of apparatus per fire company would be on the plan rather than 3, as it's been. The percentage share for the township would increase from 60% to 75% for each piece, and that would be retroactive to include bird hand piece that's on order, as well as the Lafayette ladder truck that's on order now.
I assume the costs that we were using are the best guess estimate would come now. That certainly could change.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, the only ones that we had hard numbers for would be for the ones that are already on order.
We did not adjust it for inflation going forward, so obviously there's going to be, as time goes on, just like the last one, those numbers will be changing, but.
Well, I have to say, it's just excellent work by the committee. It seems to me, I'm not hearing that there was, any lack of consensus after these points have been worked out and getting together with everyone. I really appreciate that. I think everyone in looking at that important issue would be satisfied with that work. Any other comments from other committee members?
I would just say that there were a whole lot of concepts and ideas thrown around during the committee meetings. This wasn't the first plan that was discussed. It came out of a whole lot of discussion and ultimate consensus. So there are some additional details related to the apparatus program on the back of the page. And then we'll provide some exclusive information on what other meaningful commitments there are to fire service. So if the Emergency Services Committee has questions, the committee members are here to answer them. We're ready to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. That would also be
Any questions or comments from any committee members?
I'm glad that, it was nice to be able to work with everybody. I think it was a good constructive, dialogue and, everybody kind of pitched in and we talked about different ideas, but I think, yeah, everybody's going to be pretty long on some business. Because controversial topic like this, it can be what it's nice to have a strong consensus on it, so.
I guess the one other thing that I didn't mention that I will mention, that's not necessarily directly related to the apparatus plan, but associated, the committee is also recommending an additional maintenance contribution to Lafayette Fire Company, $10,000 a year, just in order in recognition of the additional expenses that are associated with the ladder truck. So it's not necessarily part of paying for apparatus, but it's part of what's being recommended.
Thank you for that, Ralph, adding that.
Getting this to all you people, we've heard it pretty much the first time. I don't know how much involved the rest of you had, your fire companies, in going over our changes. I know with our company, it was pretty much an executive board that saw most of it, but the fire company themselves have not had much of a say in looking at it. We reported things at the meetings, but we haven't really discussed it. It stayed within the executive board. So I don't know if you really want to make a recommendation to the supervisors in this meeting. Your committee need to take it back to their fire companies as a whole first. If this committee is agreeable with it, take it back to their fire companies from that point, and then decide at your next meeting maybe to present it to the supervisors.
An unreasonable request. I just don't know what the dialogue has been ongoing with
I'm okay either way. Our company is very well aware of it. We've been communicating to them throughout, and I think, they've given us the blessing basically to move ahead. But I'm certainly okay with waiting another meeting if that's taking anyone by surprise or, doing something that.
Any feedback from other companies?
Our board makes the decisions for the company at Lafayette. So I have a statement here that Jason had prepared for me to read when we get to the point where input outside of the committee. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Our company's well aware of it and approved it, so, I mean, we're good to go on our end, but I don't see a problem waiting if not every company's informed yet.
Well, Dave, is it Jason's statement, is that related to the finance committee work?
It is.
Well, let's include that.
It is. I see Jason's online now, but.
Oh, okay. Jason, can you hear us? Might be muted. He's muted.
Yes, I can hear you.
You want to give us, I don't know how much you heard of what we were doing there. I'm sorry, I didn't look up, but, we went through the report, the finance committee, the subcommittee on fire apparatus replacement, and Chief mentioned you have some feedback.
Yeah, I apologize here. I was in transit. But yeah, so our board had kind of discussed the proposal, ran it around the board and kind of looked at what that looks like long term, kind of not just for our company, but for the township as a whole. I think we're prepared to vote yes, but our board kind of felt that essentially, ultimately the fire companies aren't necessarily gaining a whole lot. Now, yes, currently in the current state of things, the fire companies are in generally good shape. But I think the bigger concern is, longer term, some more comprehensive planning. I think that they would like to see. Ultimately, yes, we're gaining some more money up front in the way of dollars, but looking long term at the operations, how much of a benefit is that really going to impact? That kind of remains a little bit to be seen. Obviously with increased inflation, decreased fund drive returns year over year, and the increased cost of equipment, not just apparatus, it is tending to put a strain on most volunteer fire companies. And the proposed apparatus plan is a help. And we are certainly thankful for all the support over the years and the continued support. But the board discussion was basically that kind of felt like it's only a sort of a bandage for a short-term solution to a longer-term problem. Understanding we need to keep taxes in check and be prudent with expenditures to make sure that the taxpayers are ultimately receiving the best value for their dollar. I think we're kind of looking for a longer term, more comprehensive approach and something maybe to go back to the finance committee with, going down the road here. And I think some of the other discussion that's occurred at our board meeting was that, society's changing. Our community itself is changing. We don't have the same, I'll say maybe values as we did years ago, the same community itself is changing. And unfortunately, in certain areas of the township, I don't think the value of that community is what it was before, and that the individuals there necessarily value that. Some areas that is certainly still strong. But, we're running into, obviously, the factors of increased inflation. We have several members that have more than one job, obviously reducing the amount of time that they have to volunteer. And so I think as a whole, the board said, okay, hey, we're all on board with this plan for the short term, but we would like to see something a little more long term, and making sure we're making use of efficient use of tax dollars. Do we need all the apparatus we have in the township? Do we need the amount of stations and the locations? And I think our board would just like to see a little bit more long-term comprehensive plan. But I think for the short term here, the really only hang up our board had was just the 25 years instead of the 20, which I had shared with the finance committee, but we're prepared to vote yes for this.
Well, I appreciate that. Jason, thank you. I mean, I know that on the notes, last point is a comprehensive review of the plan every 5 years. And I don't think we should take the word comprehensive lightly, just as you mentioned, and I think just something I'm thinking of based on your comments. You know, those that feel there's something to be gained by studying along that 5 years, things like, as you just mentioned, you know, the type of equipment we have, the number of pieces we have, and evaluating the needs based on, you know, what the tax dollar commitments are going to be. I think that's a great idea, knowing that, you know, in 5 years, it'd be 2029, we would say, let's examine the plan, and maybe there are new things, as you say, the evolution of our communities, how things are changing. Certainly, we have presidential election. Could there be different programs and initiatives that impact us? It certainly could happen. So I was glad to see that there's a formal mention of when it will be reevaluated every 5 years. And I think some of the things you said could be prepared for that time.
Mike, and I would just also add, you know, look at how the township has changed as far as infrastructure, population. You know, obviously there's a big, township has a big focus on housing units, affordable housing. You know, that certainly all has an impact on what all the fire companies do. And so, you know, with the long-term plans, especially going through right now, obviously the comprehensive review of zoning and planning, you know, all those things need to be taken into consideration with where we go going forward. And I think that was kind of the discussion around the board is, you know, we're doing some comprehensive planning on building and zoning. We're doing it on housing as a township, and maybe it's time to look at emergency services and not just fire, EMS and police as well.
Again, thanks for that feedback, Jason. Ralph, would there be, if we did wait until the recommendation until the November meeting, do you see an impact either way that we should comment on?
Staff would probably go forward in terms of 2025 budget work to assume that this is going to be the plan going forward. And then if there's some change to it, we would adjust after the board sees, you know, if this happens at the November emergency services, then it would be, you know, one of the December meetings of the Board of Supervisors where the board would hear it, consider it, discuss it, and perhaps.
Well, it's really up to the committee if the motion to send the finance subcommittee fire apparatus replacement plan to the board is something you'd like to make a motion on tonight, good and voted on it, or in the absence of a motion, we would wait. So I'll leave it to the pleasure of the board.
Are there fire companies that want to take this back to their membership?
As Chief Kramer said, we've already done that.
I think Lafayette is on the same page. We're prepared to vote yes, but Ferdinand.
I don't want to ask somebody to do something that if they feel strongly that it would go back, then I would prefer to do that, but if they're good, we can find it.
Yes.
Now that Jason's here, I cannot make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we, recommend to the supervisors or have the ESC, I guess, approve it and send it to the supervisors for approval.
Second. Second, was it a tie? Okay. Amen. All right, we have a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you again. Great work.
What should I have on that, Mike, while we're on that topic yet? What is the status, what is the ESC committee, Emergency Service Committee's wishes for the Finance Committee going forward? Is this something that is going to continue, or what's the thought? Very good question. We're done with, so theoretically, assuming it gets approved.
Well, maybe we should wait until the board approves and then really examine what we can make that a topic for our next meeting on what the committee's,
We have another meeting scheduled at this point. I think.
Okay.
For
but we have
a
people.
resolution here. People are still there, but I think
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself. They're not looking for additional meetings if they're.
Okay,
Or something. I guess what I'm saying, I think the committee kind of did what it was tasked with initially, correct me if I'm wrong, but.
That's how I feel, and, you know, unless there's other directive for some other spending, the combined financial statements of the fire companies show 4 strong organizations. With this plan included, it makes them stronger. So unless we're tasked with something else to solve another problem that has a financial component.
Very specific problem. We
Yeah.
don't do it.
To do.
So what is the status of the annual funding?
Okay, that was part of it. The annual funding is on the sheet that I shared, that you change, the change to that would keep the existing funding as is, but it says a 2% increase annually. That's where I wouldn't say. That's maybe. What's been, I think, yeah. So when we change the fall, so maybe that's the only thing my notes show that we wanted to double that, but that was me saying that, so I'm only 1%. Because we thought 2% was fairly light in light of where inflation has been, although really, at the end of the day, inflation is not really, there's added costs, but we had thought 2% was pretty, we thought, we had asked. And then the other piece of the operating contribution was the additional $10,000 for Lafayette. Those were the only other 2 things that came out of the finance committee different than what's there previously.
well, what we just voted on was the plan for the fire apparatus replacement plan.
Yeah, respectfully, that.
Yeah, I wonder if I look pretty carefully.
Oh, no, I guarantee it's we never. Last meeting about. You.
We resolve.
You probably did resolve. Oh, it had 2% of several years, I believe. And that's what. But that was.
We had this discussion in previous finance committees too, and I think we ended up at 2%, but yeah.
So again, I will tell you this, the difference between 2% and 4% certainly isn't gonna make or break our company. And, you know, but 2% seems light in light of making up for the greater than 30% of the township that doesn't donate a dime. That would, you know, and 4% is really not a large increase as well. I mean, it's, yeah, if you look at percentages, it's 100% more than we're getting now. It's still 2% to 4%. It's not 10 to 20 or. But those are the 2 pieces that were different.
So there's no resolution on that.
Well, actually.
Well, according to what we voted on, the additional information in the plan as it was advertised, those 2 points are bullets that were accepted into the motion that I would say we accept and send to the board of supervisors, the subcommittee's report. I don't know how we undo that at this point.
I wish I would have thought that. But we did not resolve.
I saw it, but yeah, I didn't resolve it, so I feel well, that's too.
Everything else.
Not a huge deal.
Actually, what we don't. So I think you need to leave it as is, and it gets evaluated at the next.
Well, we have budget discussions coming up. We can make a note of that. Staff to do that when the supervisors are doing budget discussions. Okay. And I think for our next meeting, we'll definitely bring up the topic of the ongoing subcommittees, what their purpose is. You know, for instance, public information seems to be, you know, it's kind of a ongoing service, and maybe the feedback and things like that you'd like to have that, but maybe again, we can talk about that next meeting to say, is that necessary? Okay, so we'll move to subcommittee report. Number 3, human resources. Cheers. Do you speak to that?
Supposed to have a meeting on September 12th, but with people showing up, it was canceled. And did they have anything rescheduled?
And, okay, we'll move forward, under old business C, our calendar activities. Any comment to that?
Yeah, I would just mention that October 1 is when the submission of capital projects for the coming year, that we're going to be more than $7,500. Supposed to be submitted. I did get one from Jason at Lafayette Fire Company, so we'll be looking for the others. The other thing I mentioned is that the township did just receive the state relief funds this week. I can't remember which day it went to. So that'll be on the agenda for the board to distribute at the October 7 meeting, and each fire company will get their that. It is more than last year. The amounts per fire company is going to be $36,067.07.
Okay, anything else? Good calendar?
Calendar, no.
Anybody else? Calendar issues, okay. All right, 5 in our agenda is new business. And we'll go around and any details we have from our companies. We'll start with Township.
Sure. You get fuel receipts from Lafayette. If anybody else has fuel receipts, always looking to get those. The spill patrol reports, appreciate that effort to do that work. We still have a variety of PennDOT construction and development construction projects going on out there. If there are any questions about anything that we can try to answer, we'll try as best we can. Hopefully everybody saw the notice about the project, the Amtrak underpass, Greenfield Road. Both Amtrak and UGI are going to be working in there. Supposed to be daytime closures Monday to Friday for like 12 weeks. So that'll be an inconvenience. Lillian did put together some packets for each fire company to use for any workers' comp claims that come up. These would be the kinds of information that would be helpful to the injured volunteer. So I do have copies for each fire company I can give you tonight. And then she's gonna send email out with the same thing to everybody tomorrow, so you have it electronically. Last thing I was going to mention is that for your call out cards, Colin's no longer with the township. So you should change your call outs until we get you new cards to call me first. And if I don't answer, to call Tara.
Is Colin and Alicia gone?
Correct.
Just a comment about the workers' comp. I may have missed it. Do we ever receive a report on that, or injuries or anything of that nature, reportable?
We have a safety committee
Related.
that meets monthly,
Mhm.
and Steve's on that committee.
Okay.
And we do go over not just any volunteer injuries, but also other township employee injuries.
All right. Next up, fire companies. So we can begin with Hand in Hand.
Okay, I don't really have anything on the tactical side. I don't think Chief's not here this evening, but on the administrative side, a few things to report on. One is there's going to be a project that was not on our capital projects last year. I think I had mentioned it already at a previous meeting. We just replaced our rubber roof over part of our building, pretty large part of our building over the engine bay section. I think it was around $35,000. So just a lot of work that'll be in our financial report next year. We knew it was 35, 36 years old. We've been patching for a number of years. You never really know until, until the roofer tells you, the last time you patched it, that was probably the last time you're gonna patch it. So anyway, we replaced that. We had a couple of fundraising events since our last meeting. Our chicken barbecue went well for us. We did the drive-through only this time. And sounds like we may be moving towards that in the future. So we have that approved by our fire company, but went really well. Sold as much chicken as we did even when we were on the dine-in option. And then we had our largest event, the half marathon event a few weeks ago, and had a very successful event there. Had record turnouts in terms of registrants, and everything went pretty smooth, I think, from what I'm hearing. So yeah, I think other than that, I don't have a whole lot to report.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Lafayette?
Okay, Jason, no?
Yeah, I can run through it if you want. So yeah, had a successful cadet camp here beginning of August. I want to thank all the fire companies here, and obviously their mutual aid companies. Police department was there. Very successful event. We also been doing a lot of training lately as a company. Most recently had a foam operations class. Had a pretty good attendance at. We also just recently we finally got our hose, our supply hose that we had ordered well over a year ago, or close to a year ago. Finally did come in, and that has been put in service. Our capital campaign committee continues to meet. They have established a large list of businesses that we're going to now pursue over the next 2 years. Still kind of in the silent phase until we secure a handful of commitments from some businesses before we go public with that. The long-term plan is that at some point there will be an appeal to the general public and the citizens, but right now trying to secure some larger business contributions over the next 2 years. We also hosted a pet first aid CPR class that had right around 11 or 12 attendees this past weekend. So it was kind of a nice event for the public. Also, just recently completed several repairs on our truck as well as our engine one, just wear and tear type repairs. Also noteworthy here, I can't remember if I mentioned this at the last meeting or not, but Mike Lorelli from High, who's been on our board of directors as the community representative, he did resign here middle of the year. And that was mainly due to his had an increased commitment of time he needed at work with some of their real estate acquisition things that they have in the works. He's going to remain a member of our company, and he did say he is available to assist the ESC as well as Lafayette or anyone else who needs it with any kind of property statistics and things. For anyone who doesn't know, he had been helping out with the subcommittee on finance there as well. So our board did appoint Ame Duraco. She's president and CEO of Brubaker Incorporated to fill that position, and she's been with us here for a little bit before that, just kind of helping out as a key person in the capital campaign. Couple other things noteworthy. We've been taking care of a bunch of different station maintenance items. Two things that have kind of come up is we did get some quotes and did put on our list for expenditures over $7,500 for next year to repair cracks and seal coating in our driveway. That quote came in the neighborhood of about $20,000, which was significantly higher than what we budgeted. At the same time, our station backup electric generator didn't have that service as well, but there's also some I'll say longer interval maintenance that needs to occur there and some repairs to the neighborhood of about $15,000 to $16,000. So right now, with those things being significantly above our budget, we're currently trying to evaluate where we can move some money around and figure out when and how we are going to tackle those. Well, we're also getting into election season here coming up end of the year. We've also kind of been discussing informally Rick Kurtz, who's been our treasurer for quite a number of years, a life member as well, has been looking to step down. And so we're kind of evaluating what our options are because there's not really any interest internally in that role. So we're looking at talking to some different accountants and potentially outsourcing the bookkeeping if we cannot find someone to fill that role. So as far as upcoming events, we have the Extra Good coming up in November, and of course we're planning for our annual holiday fund drive. All in all, things keep rolling along.
Great, thank you, Jason.
Jason, can I just ask one question? Eric Bergstrom has been the fire company's representative to this committee, not Mike.
Correct. Yeah, my comment regarding Mike is he had participated as a member of the subcommittee for finance, not the actual ESC committee.
Okay, and Eric had indicated by email to me that he's not going to be able to serve on the ESC any longer. You're aware of that?
Yes, he had reached out to Dave and I, so we are working to find a replacement for him.
Okay. All right, and Rox.
So grant was submitted in for mobile radios, and the driveway project was completed this month. That's all I got.
And a question on, this is the radio now, that's compliant with the new county piece, okay? And can you just tell us about that grant again, where you submitted that? That's okay.
It's a state grant.
State grant.
Yes. Lafayette has submitted theirs for debt reduction, and they've submitted theirs for radios.
Big Dave.
Okay, very good.
That's open until October 1st.
Okay, anything else? Rox? Okay. Emergency. Sorry. Oh, why do I do that?
And medicine partnerships continuing in through 2025 with the Child Protect and the blood drives. The dates are on our website. CV bonfires coming up September 25th at the high school. PR committee will be there as well as fire trucks. PR committee is going to be hosting a fall fest event at the firehouse October 11th. They're going to have some activities and some fire prevention stuff going on. Just looking ahead, December 7th is going to be our Santa run with milk and cookies to follow in the evening at the firehouse. And next Oxford, we're looking at October 19th. Always looking for help Thursday evening, Friday evening, and Saturday all day. And also, PR committee's been in touch with the new Parks and Rec coordinator. We had a little issue with an overlapping event. Working through that just so we're not trying to do the same thing and working against each other. So they've been in contact with her, and that's all I have.
Here's what happens. The fire apparatus replacement committee has all three, and it doesn't have you on it. And I just I look at them like, oh, it's an alphabetical order. And I'm like, so apologize. Great stuff going for two. And I do have some local folks that are interested in helping out. They talked to me the other day, so I'm sure I still want to see it in action. Okay. Anything from our citizen representatives? No? Okay.
I did forget to mention one thing, which I hope all the fire companies got notice from Senator Martin's office about meetings he's having about grants available. Everybody saw that? Great.
All right, time for public comment here on our agenda. Anything from the public? Okay. All right, hearing none, take a motion to adjourn. First motion, we have a motion. We have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.